March 14th, 2024. Okay, good morning, everyone. Appreciate y'all coming here. It's nice to see everybody. Gonna jump right in. We're recording, okay. And ask first off if there's anything that needs to be added to the agenda at this time. Nope, okay. Can I get a motion to approve the December 6th agenda as submitted?
I second it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the October 25th meeting minutes, the pending deposited gifts report, and the statistical reports as submitted. Okay, thank you, Gail. Second, Sharon. Thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let me just check something. We hit those on. Right, yeah. Okay. Great. Do we have any public comment period? I don't see anybody and no one's listed, right? We don't have anyone. Okay. We'll jump right in. Let's see. We've got Clay. Go ahead and jump into our reports. So we'll start with you for the Friends, if we could.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ruth couldn't be here, but she sent a few notes along for me to convey. The Friends Executive Board will meet tomorrow evening at 5:30, their normal monthly meeting. The book sale last month brought in a little bit over 12,000, which is in line with what they've been doing. You all know this time that was they had the sale in the auditorium instead of the mezzanine, since we kind of repurposed some of that space. And they worked incredibly hard, but it came off very well. We didn't see a drop in the amount of proceeds. So that was good, and they learned a lot, as we all did. Their membership numbers are down a little bit for the year, and so they're focusing on trying to ramp that up a bit. And she says plans for having a daily store at the main library are also like they're still pursuing options on that end. And she just wanted to pass along warm congratulations from all the Friends with regards to the news of the Mellon Foundation. Right?
Absolutely. Okay. Any questions for Clay? Okay, let's jump into the foundation. Susan, I don't know.
I'm gonna start with my original report.
Okay.
Our impact report and annual fund letters are out, so we're doing our last big push for the thank you, Scott. You'll see the impact report. There's a copy that you have there with you. The foundation is continuing to focus on early childhood learning and what that looks like inside and outside the library. And our community memory fellow work continues to be a high priority. Under grant activity and partnership updates, I'm delighted to share that the Memorial Foundation for Children has awarded us $10,000 for 2 summer reading program interns. We're really excited about that. We have first-time funding received from the Freeman Family Foundation, also supporting 2 summer interns with $10,000 grant. So 4 interns funded through the foundation, excuse me. The Robbins Foundation support continues to be critical in our early literacy outreach program, RVA Reads. They have awarded us a $50,000 grant to continue to work with RVA Reads. So we're deeply grateful to the Robbins Foundation for their continued investment in that. I'd like to note we've seen new donations through local donor advised funds, TAFs. So please, over the holidays, talk to your friends and family about sharing some of their donor advised funds with the library, please. And then we are delighted to officially announce that we are going to respond to the needs and requests of Richmond residents and Richmond Public Library patrons through a 5-year, $900,000 Mellon Foundation grant. There is a copy of the 2-page concept note that you have there in front of you. There are a couple of other pages that, 2 more pages that we can add to flesh out the original concept note. The budget numbers didn't change through the course of the grant development, but that gives you the big picture. Again, when you're around the table over the holiday and somebody asks you what's going on, you will have some talking points that you can share with them. But the 3 objectives of the grant are to expand and enhance the Richmond Public Library Memory Lab. We will digitize and expand the personal and public record available in the city of Richmond. And the 3rd objective will see outreach, programming, and extensive collaborations with community partners and local cultural institutions. Does anybody have any questions?
Just wonderful news. Congratulations at you and Chris, Scott, the whole team have really just done magnificent work to earn this for the city.
I appreciate that. And, you know, without the Library Board of Trustees establishing the strategic plan in the way they did, you know, that is really where this work began. Mellon was delighted and surprised to see that some of their focus areas were things that we were already working on here in Richmond. And with Scott and Chris and Ben and Chloe, we were able to talk more deeply about the impact on what that means for the city of Richmond. And we were excited that they were excited about it.
I cannot overstate how massive this win is. It's not only a building block for everyone in Richmond, it is a game changer for what we can do in the foundation and at the library. It is massive.
How were you informed? Did somebody call you? Or was it a video conference?
Actually, Scott received an email from the head of the Mellon grant team. I happened to be CC'd on it, as well as Ben, because we're in the grant platform that they use, Flux. And so I texted Scott or slacked him. I don't remember the adrenaline. But I reached out to Scott and said, have you seen this yet? And he gets a lot more email than I do, and he could not yet seen it. So he was able to go back and
That's something.
Well, there was a lot that happened before that. There was a lot of again, this was hard work and luck. Chris and Susan, about 2 years ago, did some cold calling. They identified nationwide foundations that we've never applied to. And we did a letter, we did a cold call. Chris helped us craft that process and we stepped through it. Now, it's like fishing. We made a bunch of casts, but we got some bites, but we didn't catch any fish. But we figured out where we could go and we got exposure to it. And I think that's what opened the door.
It was fun. Mellon is the only one with a standalone program for libraries. None of the other top 25, 30 foundations has that kind of program. So 2 years ago, I emailed them saying, we're taking diversity, equity, and inclusion very seriously. I'd love to talk to you about what we're doing. And they emailed me back very promptly and said, we're not at all interested. Okay, fine. But one of the things I know in fundraising is persistence is everything. Being nicely persistent. So when we won the VMHC award, I emailed them again and say, understand that we're not in your sweet spot, but we continue to make progress on what's really important to us. And I told them about that. And then I sent them a little holiday card. And the next thing I know, we get this, you're invited for a limited competition. So I think it all kind of comes together. You know, you just gently work things through.
Well, it shows the power of that persistence and also,
But then the really
Telling
hard
the
work
story.
started, and it was
Yeah.
really hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front part was easy. Then it was really hard.
don't believe it. That's a hard, it's all hard work. It's all hard work. It's also luck. But, you know, we were one of 25 libraries to be invited to do this. And it was only because library staff had listened to the community and said, we want to put together a memory lab. We see other libraries around the country doing this.
Yeah.
And we identified this need in our community and we put it together. Now, was it what we want? Was it our dream? No, we did the best we could, but this grant will allow us to add capacity, more technology, more resources to it. Also promote it more so that people will be able to take their personal memories, their personal histories, and save them in ways they couldn't save them before. They're going to have expertise and equipment. And also we will have an opportunity to say, wow, Mr. Yates, you've really done some significant things. Would you be willing to share that with us and put it in our database to add to the public knowledge, the record of the city of Richmond, so that we can tell a better Richmond, a more complete Richmond story that as we learned throughout our 100-year anniversary, that we haven't done a very good job of that. We'd like to do a better job of it. And so this allows us to do that. And it's just, I've called it a transformative grant for us. It is
Good
that.
job.
And I can't recall a library in Central Virginia or in Virginia receiving a grant this large for a program. There's been many libraries that have gotten large amounts of money from the federal government and large foundations to build buildings and do those sorts of things, but not to address a fundamental issue, an activity, a resource in a community like this. So my hat is off to Susan, Chris, Ben, Chloe. They worked really hard and long hours on this to make this happen. And it's a great win for our city, for our library, for all of our supporters. So.
Other questions or comments? Obviously, it's fantastic. I'd like to say one thing, that this is obviously just phenomenal. But I was also impressed, Susan, with the other work that I know you and Chris has helped on some of that too. But to hear, we're hearing some new, not $1 million, contributions, but some new folks coming in there with that $5,000-$10,000, which is really important for a lot of these things. And it's fantastic to know the next summer we've got 4 of those critical interns already funded. So it seems like that whole process is just really blossomed, really since you came on board, Susan. So.
Another thing Susan didn't mention is that we achieved our goal for early childhood literacy. So tell that story.
Thank you for that reminder, Scott. As you all know, we hosted Maya Smart in April to highlight the importance of early childhood literacy and convened numerous nonprofits and community leaders to really spark that conversation. And our goal, in addition to hosting that event and bringing people together for important conversations, was to raise $125,000 for early childhood literacy programs and services available through Richmond Public Library. And we set that goal for December 30th of this year. And as of yesterday, we sat at $133,000 of that goal.
That's very good. Scott, administrative report?
All right. It's hard to top the Mellon grant. I will say I'm very proud of that last accomplishment that Susan mentioned. You challenged us last year to step up our game when it came to early literacy and that goal in the strategic plan. And I have to say we've responded. We've responded with money in a fundraising effort, bringing Maya Smart to Richmond, that call to action. And so I believe that we're doing our best to be supportive leader in addressing early childhood literacy in Richmond. I'm also pleased to announce You know, if you looked at the hiring update, we are in the process of hiring that early childhood literacy coordinator. That was something you requested. It took a little bit of time to put it together, but we are dedicating many more resources and raising the capacity of the service we're providing in early childhood literacy. So I'm grateful and proud that we've been able to do that this year. Another thing I wanted to add was, you know, as we wrap up 2023, we've just completed, we're 101 now. So after being 100, I think our century of service was a positive event. We had celebrations at every branch library. We had programs that uncovered our history, put things on display. I encourage you all to come down to the main library and take a look at the displays that Chloe McCormick, our history fellow, was able to assemble and really gather information that was spread all over the main library and put it all in one place and really make some headway in towards creating this Richmond room and move us forward on uniquely Richmond. So in general, those have been two goals that have really we've done well with this year. So those are the big deals. One more thing in your packet, there is a logo. So this was the logo that we've had this last year. So in 2022 to 2023, we changed our logo a little bit and went to a 100-year celebratory logo. This was originally has been our logo for the last 20, 30 years. So as we come out of 100 and move into 101, we adjusted the logo a little bit more, and we're going to use this one going forward for the 101st. So it's still the colors. It has the shape of the 100-year logo. It pays homage to the logo of the store, and also pulls out Richmond Public Library. I wanted to try, in the old logo, it just said RPL. I think RPL is not clear. I think this highlights our name a little bit better. It does, it kind of culminates in a lot of things. Eventually, someday, we'll probably do a whole new branding thing, but in the interim, this is what our staff put together. That effort was led by Jen Duell and her team. Josh Baker is our graphic artist. He really did a lot of work, showed us some different versions, but this is the one that we settled on and adopted to move forward into 2024.
What does the leaf mean?
Pardon me?
The gold leaf, what does that mean? Oh, it's a book.
It's a book.
Oh,
If you look at it, it's a book, and you also,
Okay.
the red letter R is in it. So
Yeah,
you
I
can
saw
see
R.
R
yeah.
in the book.
There's
So,
two figures.
and you could also see two figures in it. So do you see like two people in it as well? So I think Josh did a very clever job. So it.
See the R, I don't see the people.
I don't
Where
see
are
the figures.
people?
Yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, there you go. Oh,
And then
that.
standing behind each other.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't mind being an idiot.
And this is moving forward and I mean, we don't need to.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
This is how we're kind of stepping away from the 100th anniversary logo and moving to an iteration of the old logo and the 100th logo and moving forward. Like,
And we're still keeping Ripple as a mascot, even though we're dropping.
Ripple's still around. He's getting a little worn out. We may need to update our Ripple. He's been very successful.
vote for that.
Yeah.
Okay, Garrett, advocacy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, I was really explaining directly before it was December 12th. Is there discussion on supporting our youth with administration?
CAO Saunders has called a meeting of all of the directors, human services across the different portfolios, and he wants to talk about efforts that we're doing to educate youth. I'm not real clear. I haven't received an agenda or any other details on it. So that is been put on my calendar.
So it's not a public.
No, it's an administrative meeting. So I'll be happy to come back and report to you what I learned.
Okay.
All right, great. Yeah. Again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm gonna keep it brief today. First, I wanted to again give the flowers to Chris and Scott. I mean, that's phenomenal work. I mean, getting that type of award, it's just phenomenal. But from an advocacy perspective, although that's great, we still have a lot of work that needs to be done within Richmond Public Libraries. So our ask doesn't end. So this week, we're gonna have a communication that will go out to all of you and you can share it with your, obviously, your networks related to this great award. But we still need to say, we have a lot more we need to do. We still want to be able to expand our operational hours. We still want to be able to provide additional programming to all of our non-libraries. So we can't lose sight of that. We can't lose sight of what our vision looks like for the main public library as well, and getting that into the budget. So those are the things that we're going to continue to talk about. We're gonna obviously make it, light and fluffy and give season's greetings, celebrate the successes of this year, but make sure we wrap that in at the very end with an ask.
I'm going to mention Garrett. I think obviously that this is a phenomenal, wonderful news, and it's great in many ways, what it does immediately, what it does as far as positioning us, everything else. One thing we have to be careful of, and I think that's what Garrett's alluding to, is that when this is announced, we shouldn't have any city council member saying, oh, the library's got an extra $200,000 a year.
Absolutely.
Okay, we don't.
Right,
Okay,
right.
what we have is the ability to do something additional, but we can't take those funds and use them to open doors longer, to have somebody come in and do this, to buy more books. Anyway, this is very specific, dedicated, and it's something that would not be happening if it weren't for this. It doesn't help the financial budget from what the city gives in any way, shape, or form. Okay, it hasn't reduced our expenses that we need for the other things.
All right.
Okay.
That's a great call out, Bill. I think, and that's exactly what this communication will focus on, because what's going to happen. They're gonna, I'm sure they got the email yesterday at 4 o'clock, and they were like, "Oh, that's fantastic! Great for the public libraries. Now we can go ahead and take that $900,000, or how we want to break it down, $200,000 per year, and we're gonna, take that away from the budget." No. This is specifically for this. So
it actually should be a springboard almost.
Yeah.
More that, hey, we're doing these things.
Right.
It's acknowledged that what we're trying to do in the strategic plan and what Chris and Susan were able, and the rest of the team were able to do in getting this, is this demand by the city residents, but it's recognized by major, other folks in the industry, and looking at it from a less parochial viewpoint, maybe, who see that too. So, I mean,
I'll add to that challenge, Bill.
Yeah.
The administration of the city has to understand that too.
Right.
So your conversation with Lincoln Founders has just upped
It has.
at a much higher level of what you've got to convey. Yeah.
And just with this being where it is on the timing, we have had the whole issue of something of a lame duck out there on that. So it makes it even trickier. But anyway.
But they give the number to begin with.
Oh yeah,
If
absolutely.
we get that number as a great number, it makes all the rest of our work a lot
Absolutely.
easier.
It does. No, we still we need to go out and push that. So, Garrett, anything else you had, or any questions for Garrett on that? No? Okay. Chris, on the early learning literacy. You're the lady of the day anyway here. So
I'll just echo what Susan said. With the story that we developed with early learning, and we've gone out to foundations that we haven't talked to in 17 years, that we've never talked to, and we've told our story, we're just hitting so well. We have been requested by Cabell to come in with it's the robustness of the story that we had to have before we charged Scott with making it a priority. We then could take that pretty vibrant numbers, data, individual faces of children, and just bring it to, and it just worked so well. So I think the rigor that we now have when we have an initiative, before you approve it, you expect a high level of understanding, but then so do foundations. So it really feeds into each other.
okay. I don't have anything as chair. I'm still getting caught back up on everything. I am gonna ask I'm not really sure who it falls under, but Gail, you have been it's really not facilities, but you've been looking at the, and it's sort of under the foundation.
We're looking at the moving part.
Oh, is that what, okay, I don't know where you're looking at bookmobile type things fits. So we'll just take it now while let you give us an update. I know you had a meeting last week again.
Yeah, Scott, Susan, Jen Jewell, who would have the responsibility for the area of the bookmobile. We followed through with Bill's suggestion about a bookmobile. And Jen had the opportunity to meet with Richmond and Brighton, their team, about what's involved, you know, the equipment and commission of staff and those kinds of things. And we learned a couple things that, I mean, one size doesn't fit all. Henrico has multiple mobiles for different services. But we decided that we should focus on, again, the strategic plan and expanding early childhood literacy in underserved communities. So we're going to focus on that. Other jurisdictions use these mobiles for STEM focused plans or tech training, but we thought focusing on early childhood literacy and reading, we could also include Wi-Fi and laptop instruction and checkout, book delivery or return. So there are some expanded options, but really focusing on the books. And that's how it seems we need to do more research, but how the bookmobiles are organized, either for programming where they have tables and chairs and those things, or really the book facility where you can pull out carts outside. They have mobiles with awnings for summer use and those kinds of things. So there are lots of options that we need to research, but we're just focusing right now on how we want to use it. Also, seniors are welcoming bookmobiles, so they don't have to go to a branch library. So jurisdictions are taking opportunities for that group as well. We discussed at length because we know we would be asked about it, is if a bookmobile could be an e-vehicle with all the movement towards electric vehicles generally in the public. There are two major distributors and designers of bookmobiles, neither of which currently have e-vehicles, but it's definitely on the horizon. There are two cities in California that have had custom electric vehicles designed for them in Sacramento and Oakland successfully. So there's a demand for it, I suspect, when we apply for this grant and when we receive it, so on a roll, that by 2025, they'll be up to speed with these e-vehicle options. Another issue is staffing generally. Susan brought up about drivers needing a commercial driver's licensing. So they're the kinds of things that, do we limit size so we don't have to require specialties for staff? So they're just kind of decisions that we're going to have to make about the design and size of the bookmobile. The guidelines for this grant are released in January. So we have a bit of a head start with some of the research and basic decision making. And once we receive those guidelines in January, we'll be able to move forward with the proposal.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions for you?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing all that research.
Oh, well, I did a very little bit, Jen did for this. She's going to take the lead to move forward. And may I get my notes to Emily to report at the foundation next week?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can find.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay.
Before we leave
Well,
facilities.
actually, let's go ahead and do the facilities. We'll come back to finance then.
Okay,
We'll jump over.
I don't have
anything. I was gonna turn it over to Gail, but
Oh.
I do want to say how much I enjoy going in the Richmond room. I want everybody to be sure to go see it. The outer room, which used to be dark and unwelcoming, is bright and very welcoming. Thank you so much for making that happen.
That was Cheryl. Cheryl made that happen.
Yay, Cheryl. Yay, Cheryl.
A little refresh in the Richmond room and
Yeah.
steadily picking at them.
I just think it's great and I want to see a lot more of it. And if you haven't been in there lately, please go and thank Chloe, because I think she works really hard on that space. So
Yep. And Chloe has just been promoted from being the community memory fellow. She will be our special collections librarian. So Richmond Public Library now has a dedicated staff member to oversee special collections. So as we move forward towards developing our Richmond room in the memory lab, the special collections librarian will take one of the lead roles in coordinating activities with the Mellon Grant. And this is going to be one of our goals was activating the space on the Dooley side. Last year at this time, that room was empty and there wasn't a lot going on in it. So over the course
what
of
do we call that room? Where
That-
the,
it
where
was
the-
really the main reading room of the library back in 28 and for many years, and then for many decades, it was the children's area.
Mhm.
So, 5 years ago, we moved children's out of that corner of
is
the
that why
library.
the polka dots were in there?
That's why the polka dots were in there. It was a family. So we moved children's out of that area and gave them more room in the back of the main library on the main floor, closer to where adult activities went on. So they weren't in a side corner of the library. We pulled them out of the Dooley
Good.
side, put them in. So now the Dooley side, it became the law library. So law library is transforming into the Richmond room, memory lab, and we have much more activities going on in there. The Gelman room, they celebrated their 50th anniversary this year of Gelman concerts. So we're planning to do a refresh in that area. Need paint and carpet in there as
Yeah.
well. It's pretty dingy.
It is dark.
So facilities has steadily been kind of knocking off little projects throughout the system. As sad as it was to see North Avenue have that disaster in December of last year, North Avenue has a refresh as well. New paint, new carpet. We've rearranged collections. And monthly, Craig is telling us that people are really noticing. They feel a little bit more comfortable and at ease, and they're getting the resources they need at North Avenue. And Miss Burton's a regular patron over there. Wouldn't you say North Avenue looks a little better than it did last year?
Yes, it does. It is. This great, it definitely has a good feel that we have.
Mhm.
There's always upgrades. and improvements.
So facilities has had a big year too.
I would mention North Avenue numbers a little bit as far as the book circulation. And we lost it there
Yeah.
as far as time there,
Yeah.
but it's really been going back. You can just see it month to month.
I
so.
think next year we're seeing it start to rise. I think
Yeah.
the next year it'll continue to go.
Yeah.
And that's really a product of what our branch managers do. They
Yep.
connect to the community. Their number one job is to connect and build bridges and bonds with the community. So we have some fabulous branch managers across the system. And collections, our investment in library collections, books and resources, we're seeing that pay dividends now. This year we crossed 800,000 in circulation. Haven't seen that in a long time. And if you look at electronic checkouts, that is seeing the just exponential growth. So
It's almost
facilities
triple, yeah,
and
branch.
yes, it's almost triple. So people, the way people are using libraries is shifting and we have to keep adapting and meeting those needs. And so I really believe we're doing a pretty good job in facilities and collections and programs.
Janet, anything else on facilities?
it.
Okay. Let's move back to finance with Garrett or Scott. Anything you want to say?
Garrett and I met and we met after the election because we were hoping to see what the tea leaves would provide in terms of revenues and it's not quite clear yet. I guess it's cloudier since we didn't get this revenue generator that was a wish. So we'll see how that moves forward in terms of like the city.
Right. But I think, just to add to Scott's point, our goal and our ask as we continue conversations, I know Scott's gonna start talking more with Lincoln, is that we start to focus on our strategic plan. Nothing changed, you know, despite what happened on election day. We still need to make sure that we're advocating for the dollars that we need in the budget to meet our initiatives and meet our programming initiatives as well. So the work still continues. I think, you know, as we kind of end this year and go into 2024, obviously we'll eventually get more clarity on, on what the budget looks like and what they're willing to do. But we're going to stay as strong as we possibly can in our ask. We're not going to back down. Because you know, we're so thankful what we were able to get in the last fiscal budget, but we need to make sure that we get more as we move forward too.
And we haven't decided what that number is yet, right? I mean, we're
No,
in the next couple of months, we'll have
figure
that,
all out,
so that we can
yes.
go out to not just the administration, obviously, but each council member.
Correct.
And say, appreciate what you did last year, and here's what we need this year.
Right. And just to add to that too, you know, one thing to call out from an advocacy perspective is that we are going to have a new city council representative in the 9th district. Because obviously Mike Jones recently got elected to the House of Delegates, so he will be vacating his position at the beginning of the year. So 3 people interviewed for that opportunity last what was
week.
that Monday? Is that Monday? Monday afternoon. All 3 of which I know very well. So I've already began a little bit of in the back advocacy with them. So they understand, you know, what the importance of the libraries are. All 3 have already made a commitment to be supportive of the libraries. So the work is already happening related to that too. So we can get a additional person behind us, kind of being one of our champions at City Council.
Excellent.
Well, you're getting a lot of good press
Oh,
too.
right.
Ooh.
Sorry. May I backtrack?
Sure.
Do you need a procedural review? Do you need a vote about moving forward with the grant and automobile?
I don't think we do. How are we going after this? Is this a foundation effort technically, or is it the library that goes to try to get the, I mean, where do the funds come? They come directly to the library? We might need to then, I don't know.
Those are all things that I don't.
We're not at that stage yet.
Yeah, I don't really know right now. I think we need to, once you get the paperwork from Congressperson McClellan's office, we'll have a better idea of what those details are that we need to pursue. Right now, we're really in exploratory, identifying need, doing some surveys, really trying to figure out what's going to serve us best.
Right, what it's gonna do if we,
Right.
what the
Right.
need is, how this meets it, and
And
get
then the
down to
fiscal
the,
impact. And I think
Right.
once we get an idea of the fiscal impact, and then we can start filling in those action items and get support that way. Right.
but I mean, I think at this point, unless anyone feels we need to come on board saying, well, I mean, I don't know that we have enough. I threw it out in September, I guess. Just sort of when we were talking about possibility of doing something with Senator McClellan to Don McKeechan. Just was an idea. I mean, it's, you know, I think there may still be other things people come up with. We should talk about those, but I don't know that we're at the point we need to say, yes, we're behind anything yet. I mean, it's researching it further, and you know, I think we are behind. I mean, I just don't think we need to formally go on the record with anything till we know the kind of cost and what we're looking at doing and how it affects staffing and things like that. So, Emily, anything on governance?
Don't have a formal governance report, but I did want to mention that, because I'm also the liaison to the foundation, one thing that Susan didn't mention because she had such a jam-packed report is that the foundation board sponsored members to attend a workshop from Leadership Metro Richmond on foundation fundamentals, something like that. And I attended as a member of the foundation board. It was really good. I definitely highly recommend this organization, Leadership Metro Richmond, which I had not heard of or taken any workshops with before, but they were very good. It was very well done. And I did have some ideas for governance that I'm going to be mulling on before the end of the month, end of the year. But one of them, which I'll just throw out there now, was the idea of like a board self-evaluation, which is pretty common on boards. And it would just be, you know, something we could do, members could do it on their own time. And it would be just an opportunity to kind of evaluate how well we, as individuals are doing on the board. To maybe identify some areas where we could improve, but then also ways to make the meeting run more smoothly. So if you have any ideas about that, please let me know, but I'm gonna do a little more research, and then maybe have something to share next time.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Sounds great. Okay, let's move into unfinished business if we could, the holiday calendar. There's a copy of it.
Yeah, there's
Somewhere
nothing in the
in the
board
packet.
packet.
It's
So
in
if
the
you go
packet.
into the packet, there
Uh,
is on page.
21.
Couple of things I would say real quickly about it is we go through this pretty much every year. We do it every year. We go through the same discussion a little bit, that we are somewhat hamstrung by the city's policies on this. Scott and I just finished a conversation a few minutes ago. Where he basically said to me, it's gonna take you longer to understand the way it's done than we have time to spend on it. So there are things about, I could not understand, I still don't fully get why Saturdays are overtime if the Friday is a holiday and the Monday is a holiday and things like that. But it's city policy. We don't control that. So to some extent, the calendar as here is very much guided by the city calendar and what the administration puts out on it. Second thing that I would say is that I think we'll have even less control over this as the city moves forward with their negotiations with the union. I think we're going to find that we're very much locked into certain holidays. So I think it's as it is submitted here. Do we have a discussion, any ideas, things we want to try to change? Do we accept it as is? And I'll throw it open for discussion. We're trying to avoid as much as possible any Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off times. But we can't totally avoid them currently without paying extra for that Saturday. And I suspect that once the new contract goes in, we're not going to be able to control that. But that's going to be something that the negotiators with the union set. These are the holidays you get, period. But we'll see how that goes.
One of the questions that came up, remember when we talked about this last month, is what about the Sunday before the Monday holiday? How are we handling that? And on the one hand, we would close, sometimes we wouldn't close on that Sunday before. So you asked me to check around the state. So in your packet, there's a little sheet that says Sundays across the state. So it's kind of good to look at other libraries around the Commonwealth that have Sunday hours. I've listed all of the major ones. There may be some smaller libraries that have Sunday hours. I would be surprised, but this is what our peers are doing around the state. None of them are closing on Sundays before the holidays. So,
Oh, okay.
so that kind of answers that question for us. So
Problem
they're
solved.
observing the holiday, but they're not closing on the Sunday before. So
Okay,
that is kind of a retail model and.
Yep.
um,
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's
Okay.
the answer I have for you all on
So-
that.
okay.
Let me ask then, can we sort of have an issue with that though, or not? How do we handle that with the
Well,
city's
we just
calendar?
have
We
to
just
pay,
pay,
we pay overtime.
okay.
Yeah.
Can-
We pay overtime if that holiday falls, so that's the way
That's
we
fine.
would have to handle it. And when you brought up the issue of if we close, so if you look in the packet, I also included the last few years of how the holidays have fallen.
Right.
Christmas is one that falls throughout the week, and sometimes you get 2 days, some days you get 3 days, some days you get 4 days.
Right.
It just depends on where the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day holiday fall. Thanksgiving is one that we have a lot of days off, so that's, the mayor's given us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We do return to work on Saturday and Sunday, so that's pretty much a 3-day holiday. So when you're looking at it, those are kind of how the holidays fall. When we have a holiday and we want to divert from that schedule and we're open on a Saturday, we have to take steps to we pay overtime. So if
Yeah.
the holiday falls on a Friday and we close on Friday and we're open on a Saturday, we'll pay overtime for that.
Right.
So that's just the cost of doing business. So I wanted to explain that process to you all. So we can deviate from it.
Okay.
We just have to pay overtime.
Alright, okay.
So that's how that would work.
Having so thank you for the last holiday, it was a long holiday, there's some all this country. And we got that bad weather, so what happens? What is our bad weather policy?
Oh, we learned from that. We had a long discussion about when we have a hurricane event or a storm event. Somebody needs to be checking on buildings, you know, when we have an extended period of time, and usually we do. You know, usually somebody comes in and clears the book drop, checks on the space. So we are definitely doing our job in those situations to make sure we're on, just checking, just to pop in to check how things go. So to prevent that from happening. Yeah.
So we don't have, there's nothing within our system that would automatically set some kind of.
If there's a water leak or something.
We are upgrading our security system. We're kind of doing it branch by branch, year over year. So updating, you know, making it more so there are sensors in place if there's a water leak or temperature drops. I think a lot of people have home security systems that the temperature drops below 32 degrees, it sends you a message on your phone. I believe that technology is starting to reach us, and we'll be implementing that. I think it's not a either or, I think it's a both and. So still physically need people doing what I would call fire watch, making sure they're stopping by their locations. Janet was a branch manager in Henrico. Didn't you go in on holidays and make sure the book sorter was not jammed up and shooting books all over the
Well,
library?
during bad weather events, like that big hurricane, was it Irene? We had to drive to our branch, first of all, to see if you could drive to the branch. And then look at the whole building. Did a tree fall on it? You know, was the electricity on? Answer all those questions.
Right. And so those are expectations and things that we are expecting our branch managers to help us out with, our librarians to help us out with. So monitoring that, letting them know, or training them that, oh, I need to think about that, you know. So that's one thing that we learned from that event. And so we're implementing that now. So yeah, we have any more days like that, we'll be on top of it.
So how long did that water go before somebody found it?
What, a couple days. Yeah.
Yes. I think we covered back to, always was back then, is that how easy it is to get around. Our city, if it's not a great example, quickly our streets get clear and things get restored. So we don't have a sensor within the building that it's, I haven't been beginning.
Yeah, so if we were just alerted, we can at least make sure that Public Works is alerted. The city is responsible for, Public Works cares for our buildings. We partner with them, and Cheryl does an amazing job of teamwork with them to make sure things get done and get addressed in a timely fashion. She does a great job with that. But yeah, any sort of like alert would be helpful. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Lots of snow.
Is it? Snow?
Ooh.
In Richmond?
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
It's weird.
Okay, so we've got the calendar in here, proposed holidays, and what we're really saying, Scott, is that when we look at that holidays, if there is a Sunday there that it's not shown as a holiday, we'll be working.
open.
Yeah.
We're working, we're just paying extra for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott, do you have an idea of how much that cost over a year?
I can probably get the numbers. It's probably not gonna be extreme. Yeah, 4 branches. Now, if it's,
Well,
well,
I'm thinking of the Saturdays too.
the Saturdays too, that'll be a time and a half situation. I can't think it would be an extreme amount. But it does stress if we're like I heard what you, and I agree with you. We have an urgency to provide our patrons, library service. If we're not open, they can't use it. So we need to be open at those times when they're available to do that. So, yeah, that's why we did this research and that's why, and we want to do that. And
Yeah.
we're not like being extreme or this is just, we run a retail environment, so we need to be responsive like a retail meet those expectations, and we will compensate people for it. So
Well, it shows that we value the work that we do.
that's right.
Sure.
That's right. And in fact, as I did this, there are very few city departments that are open on Sunday. Lots of communities, many of our community centers are not open on Sunday.
Right, right,
So
right.
we are one of the few
right.
public facing agencies that is open on the weekend.
Well, we want to be responsible to our citizens.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So,
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, then I'm gonna ask for a motion from someone, a motion to approve the meeting schedule as in that packet.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Chris. And I'll second. Garrett. Okay, all in favor of the meeting schedule motion? Aye. Opposed? No, okay. And I'm sorry, that's the holiday schedule. Holiday schedule.
You did the
Holidays.
meeting.
I did the, I was reading, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a holiday.
You-
We
schedule.
knew
the
what you were
holiday.
thinking about.
Yeah.
Kind of merged
Let's
it.
also look at the meeting schedule that's on page 20. It's the standard third Wednesday, third.
Yeah, we haven't changed anything. We kept
Alternating.
alternating between main and branch libraries, so folks, we get to kind of get out and see what's going on.
And the standards,
meets,
August and November, we don't meet, and then we do the combined one in December. Hasn't changed any from our usual. Can I ask for a motion to approve the meeting schedule? Did I just do the holiday? Which did I do? We did the holiday, we'll do the meeting now. Sorry, people. Emily?
I'll move to
That's-
approve the meeting.
Okay. I'm sorry, who is the second? Sharon, okay, I had my head down and all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, thank you. See what else we have today. Yeah. But any other new business, unfinished business?
With the app.
Oh,
It's been over a week.
yeah, unfortunately, Cersei, our vendor for the ILS, partnered with an outside contractor to develop that app called Solus. Solus informed Cersei about 6 months ago that there were features that were going to be turned off and that they needed to address them. Cersei did not address them, and so Solus turned off the app, like pieces of the app,
Yeah.
end of November,
Yeah,
and it broke the app. And so the app is broken, it can no longer communicate with our database. And Cersei didn't have a plan to fix that.
so it's not going to be
So
back
it's
on.
broken. Yeah, it's broken. And unfortunately, it's not gonna be,
Ooh.
they're allegedly working on it and hopefully have something in January to replace it, and will be a beta site for it. But yeah, it's broken and it doesn't work right now, so.
So what can't we do? That we, I mean, when you
So,
say it's broken, what?
It was
It-
really
You
a,
can't do anything.
yeah, it doesn't work anymore, so.
You can't see what your account is,
Really?
so you don't know if your books are in, if your book is due.
Yeah, this was the app.
Yeah, it's,
It was a wonderful app.
Yeah.
yeah, it really was a
Kept
great
everything.
app.
It's.
You
broken.
can't search for a book,
Right.
say, do you
Yeah, I
have
can't hit the
it?
car, can't allow anything.
Yeah, you can't check out a book, you can't do
Can't
anything
do anything. Yeah.
anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, I was hoping that they would resolve this and they cut it off on November 28th.
okay,
So it's been the last 3 weeks working with library IT, city IT,
yeah,
because to have an app, they build it. You also have to set it up so people can access it in the app store. So
right,
the
Right.
Apple App Store
Right,
and then the
right.
Sam for the Google app, Android App Store.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of security on that. So we've been trying to figure out like, how do we do that? So for now, it's broken. We're gonna message
that
on that.
sounds worse than I
We are.
thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
When you said
So
we're going to message,
we're gonna let people, we've got the notification on the website that it's broken.
Yeah.
I've been kind of curious to hear how many complaints we're getting about it. I'm not hearing lots of complaints, so I'm a little concerned that I don't know how many people were using it, but also they're not letting us know that they're having a problem with it, so.
I'll
Yeah.
just say, I assumed it was just me or just my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's
Yeah.
what's happening, so how do we message to those folks? I would hope, we should ask Cersei if we can get the list of people who are app users, but I don't know if we have email access to people to push out a notification.
Or even in the at-home,
Yeah,
Mhm.
thing that goes out
Yeah.
to everyone, because you,
well, we were hoping it would get resolved. We've only found out within the last week that they've broken it and it's not gonna be fixed.
And they can't update the app. They like go to the site to direct them to the site instead of.
It's broken.
It's just,
Well,
well,
the,
change the link, change
Yeah,
them
do want
working
that.
without them to access. the app.
Cersei doesn't have they didn't replace the app. Solus changed something on them and I think it was all about money.
But I think what Emily's
it
saying is,
usually
if, if Cersei is directing through their site to the
Yeah,
app, can they put, instead of it just being, oh, nothing, can they put a banner or something saying,
change
It
the
doesn't work.
I can-
that might be worth
I can
checking,
look
because
at that.
that's,
when something doesn't
Yeah.
work on the
RTL
phone.
website.
What's on the app? Is that what you're asking for?
When you, yeah, like if you go to the app,
See, I think
instead
that
of,
you're out.
it's not working at all.
No, yeah.
I think you're on that.
Yeah,
So
they,
the app
If the
can't
app
say,
had a
I
link.
don't work.
But if the app doesn't run for some reason at all,
it looks
Correct.
like it's just not accessing the database.
Right, it's
Right.
not,
Access.
it's
So
not
you-
talking to anything.
So if it's not
Right.
talking to the database, but you wouldn't need to talk to the library database
would.
to have a link on the app that says
but the
You
app
know,
provider would have to do
under,
that.
under construction, you know, and
Yeah.
then go to the library website with a link to the library
Oh,
website. That's,
And maybe the app provider.
that's a
Yes.
good suggestion. I will
That.
ask,
Yeah.
our
That makes sense.
IT, because we've had some communications with them. Basically, what are you gonna do about this? I can
Yeah.
fix this. But yeah, libraries across the country are stuck with this problem. Yeah.
Take a lot of questions. I have a friend who's in, senior facility, has no cell phone. They have computers that they can use, but they won't install an app, you know. On, is there a way for someone who does that have like a cell phone or something that they can install an app to, you know, with an e-card to be able to access ebooks and so forth on a strange computer?
Yeah, you can access all
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
through the
Yeah, you don't
library.
need an app for
website.
any of
Yeah,
that.
Just
Yeah.
not the mobile app.
Yeah.
Never tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you can search for books on the library's website. You can,
And then when they hit checkout, you then put in your number
But
Yeah.
they-
and
they
you
need
check
to
it
do
out.
Overdrive
Yeah.
or anything.
yeah, they'll
On
need
that
to,
computer.
well, Overdrive can appear in the browser.
Yeah.
So you
You
can
do
view it in the
Overdrive.
browser or you can
Yeah.
download it to the Libby app.
So they can't, they won't let them download this yet. So you can.
I believe you can get it through the browser.
Can you do it in the
Yeah.
browser? Yeah.
Be able to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, that was service to seniors is something I think we really need to do a lot more on. Gail and I and Susan discussed that with the mobile library.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to be able to do
go over there. and
more
fix it.
outreach with senior centers and senior residential facilities to have a vehicle that could visit and really improve what we're doing for seniors.
Sometimes you go around to some of these things that they can just show you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what a mobile vehicle would
Good
do.
for that.
Yeah.
Or something on the website, you can see your page. That's,
Makes good sense. Okay, any other new business, anything that we've missed today, Sean there? Okay, can I get a motion that we adjourn? Anyone?
Sure.
Yeah,
Second.
second.